How's it on the Mark Tribe? I hope you are well. Thank you for downloading this one. I'm so glad you would join me. And look, let's give Scottie Scheffler a well deserved round of applause. I mean, that performance en route to another major championship, his fourth, was just almost virtuoso. And it brings up, before I bring you some lessons from the Open Championship in 2025, it brings up something that's a bit of it grinds my gears. This sort of sets me going a little bit because as I watched some of the final round, the whole tournament, during the final round, especially though, there were a cadre of people that came out with the fact that, this is boring, this is a snooze fest. I even heard maybe an announcer go, these other guys got to get going a little bit. Now, here's my take on this. In any other sport, us as fans, right? If someone is going for the perfect bar routine in gymnastics or the perfect floor routine, we're all hoping that they don't fall, or ice skating, you're hoping they nail that turn, that jump, whatever, so they can make the perfect score. And we all sit and we wait with anticipation to see if they can achieve that perfect 10. When you're in the classroom, you want to get 100%. You're always striving for perfection. And when that's done, people laud that. Yet somehow in golf now at the Open Championship, Scottie, who's putting together a 9 out of 10 performance in terms of how to play links golf, how to win tournaments, how to comport yourself, all of the above, and people are like, this is boring. I understand you want a game. I understand you want stuff close. But let's learn to appreciate that we are getting to watch, out of Scottie Scheffler especially, here in the last couple, 3 years, some vintage performance. To me, I tweeted about this. Maybe it was Instagram, whatever. Follow me wherever it is. It's at Mark_Immelman. I mentioned, I'm like, this is like Mozart with a golf club in his hand. Just the way he's going about his business, we need to appreciate that, because here's my mea culpa. When I was teaching full-time on tour, it's essentially when Tiger was at the height of his powers. And at that stage, I was a golf instructor, not working with Tiger, and I could not, or I did not, my mistake, fully appreciate what he was doing. And it took me stepping away from instruction and into broadcast, and then removing all biases, to realize that I'd gotten to watch greatness with my own two eyes. But at the time, because I was conflicted and confused, I didn't appreciate that. So I've resolved personally to not make that same mistake again. We are watching a guy at the height of his powers with a very cool cast of characters around him, with McIlroy and Bryson and Xander and some stars coming up. You've got these great players chasing after a guy who is the high water mark. And Scottie Scheffler, he's the rising tide. He's lifting all the boats. You're hearing these guys after the Open go, he's in a class above us. And we're going to have to up our ante, which is good for us, the fan. So if he's 4 ahead, appreciate what he's doing to get 4 ahead. Don't come and give me it's a snooze fest. And if you're taking this personally, sorry. This is just how I feel. But I'm trying to help you, my tribe, my global tribe, who I love dearly, help you to a lesson that I learned the hard way. I didn't, watching Tiger, appreciate the stuff he was pulling off. I was there. I didn't truly appreciate it. So watching Scottie, when I'm out on tour for CBS or for ESPN Plus and the PGA Tour, watching him play, we got to learn to appreciate this stuff, everything he's doing. Okay, now that's my rant. So let's get back to the lessons, because this is why this show exists. And to that, remember the book, Lessons from the Best. It's my first summary of 18 of the best podcasts here on the On the Mark Show. It's available at back9press.com/Immelman, BACK, the number 9press.com/Immelman, and go and get yours there. There's lessons from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, tips of your fingers. It's holistic. It is there to help you to improve everything in golf, from the physicality to the spirituality to the emotionality to the mentality of it. It's everything. And speaking of everything, if you watch Scottie, he's kind of doing it all right. Yes, we can look at the strokes gain numbers. And yes, we can look at all the data and go, it's virtuoso ball striking. But they're those immeasurables that he is just nailing as well. I made the comparison in how he was conducting himself to kind of a softly spoken, less animated Tiger Woods. On the second cut show, I was like, I made the direct comparison to say, like off the tee, I think Scottie was not as long as Tiger, certainly, but Scottie off the tee is more reliable than Tiger. He just goes to that one fade, he moves it high and low. Sometimes he'll draw the ball, but he's super reliable off the tee. So I would sort of give him the edge. Now, Tiger can outdrive him, but Scottie is sneaky long, but reliable. In the iron game, where they're both playing right now in terms of distance control, I would call them neck and neck. Now, I know this is Tiger Woods, and over the span of his career, he has no equal. But here in this short window, this 24 to 36 months, where Scottie has won 4 majors of 12, that's ridiculous. Think about that. What sort of clip he's winning at, which that's Tiger-esque as well. Anyhow, and so the iron game is comparative. The short game, Tiger was in a class of his own, but he would pick the dramatic shots. Scottie is good. He just picks the basic shots. And on the greens, obviously Tiger has the big edge. I would say that Tiger is probably, arguably, the best pressure putter I've ever seen. In fact, if I had to pick someone to putt for my life from 10 feet, it would be Woods. I mean, how many times have you guys watched Tiger Woods play when he was at the peak of the career where you'd be like, this thing's going in, and it would. Now, Scottie's not there yet, but here's a lesson now, and here's the first lesson. Scottie, after the Open, when asked about if he's thinking about the career Grand Slam now and winning in 2026 at Shinnecock Hills to complete the career slam, he shut that thing down going, I'm not that kind of guy. He goes, at the end of the year, after the playoffs, the FedEx Cup playoffs, and after the Ryder Cup in 2025, I'm going to sit down with my team and we're going to assess where I can get better. It's not about winning tournaments. It's just about improving. And I'm sure he's going to earmark the putter. There's been massive improvements made, but I'm sure he's going to go, I can still get better there. Now think about this. Here's a guy who's dominant and the number one right now, and he's not thinking of winning. He's thinking of how do I just get better? Because as he called himself in a press conference, he's like, I'm a golf sicko. He goes, I love to get up and work on my game. So be like Scottie, love to work on the game, allow the results to be their own. Just do what you can control. And that's one of the first lessons you can learn from Scheffler. This attitude that he has, this way that he keeps everything in this incredibly simple yet profound perspective. A lot was made of the comments he made pre-tournament where it was like, I don't find my significance in golf. I love golf. I love to compete. I love to win. He goes, but it doesn't complete me because he firmly has his priorities in place. And that's the first lesson. He's got priorities figured out and he keeps golf in its place. So as a result, when golf doesn't go right, it's not a mood changer for him. I'm sure he's aggravated after he plays poorly, but it doesn't change who he is. He's Scottie Scheffler, who's a man of faith. He's a father and a husband, and then he's a golfer. And his mom once mentioned, she goes, Scottie is not his golf score. Now that's a tough lesson to apply. It's easy to hear. It's tough to apply because golf, the score defines us. But you've got to approach golf with this incredible perspective to say, well, if I play well or I play badly, it's okay. I'm going to have another turn. And that's the one thing, if you look at the data, where Scottie is a master. And it's a function of the poise, and it's a function of the perspective, in my opinion. And that is his bounce back statistics. I want to look through these with you real fast. Now, bounce back on the tour is after a mistake has been made, the incidence of birdie or or par or better on the next hole. Okay. But let's just say birdie within one of the next few holes. So in round one, Scottie's going along there solidly. He bogeys 9, turns around and birdies 10. Then he bogeys 11. Then he pars holes 12, 13, 14, 15. Then birdies 16, arguably the hardest hole in the golf course. So do you see that? As soon as he's made a mistake, he bounces back. If he doesn't bounce back with birdie, he makes a string of pars and sort of gets the ship back on track. That's round one. Round two now, he bogeys 11, pars 12, birdies 13. So see, makes the mistake, right back on track a couple of holes later. Hole 3 goes through the round bogey free, no mistakes. Made a lot of good saves, and we'll talk about that momentarily. Then in the final round, he gets off to a decent, good, solid start. Then makes a silly double bogey on 8, which he referenced afterwards was a mental mistake. Leaves the ball in the fairway bunker, gets it out, makes double bogey. He birdies the 9th hole straight thereafter. So think of the perspective and the poise here after you in the lead in the final group in a major championship, and you make double, and all of a sudden your lead shrinks. A lot of folks would panic. Not Scottie. He maintains poise. He maintains perspective. He doesn't panic. Here's your lesson, no panicking, just poised. And he keeps doing each shot on their merit. There's a huge lesson in that, the ability to bounce back. And listen, bouncing back doesn't mean you play aggressively. It means you play smartly. If you don't make a birdie or a par, just don't make another mistake. I will will forever remember on this very podcast, Webb Simpson, very cerebral about the game, once mentioned to me on the show, he goes, I'm okay with one mistake. He goes, I have a problem with making 2 in a row. He goes, I will not allow myself to make 2 mental mistakes in a row. It's not going to happen because everyone's going to make mistakes. But how do you bounce back? And the bounce back doesn't necessarily mean that you play overly aggressive. It just does not mean, it just means that you don't follow the mistake with a rash or an irrational or a panic-driven emotional decision that causes more mayhem to your scorecard. So poise is Scottie's thing. Patience is another. He's a masterclass in using that word that you will hear all and sundry on the PGA Tour and beyond use when they ask about their round. Scottie in every post-round presser will go, I did a good job of. And he'll tell you what he did a good job of. Wasn't the score, because I did a good job of committing to the shots. Or I did a good job of staying patient. And he stays patient very well. In fact, in the 3rd round, he gets off to a pedestrian start, a bunch of pars on the first 5 or 6 holes, I think it was. Then he gets to the par 5, reachable, gets a long drive down there downwind, gets an iron on the green to about 10 feet, and makes it. And I tweeted at the time, I was like, vintage Scottie. Patience, 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 eagle. Never try to force the issue, just kept doing his thing, waiting for the correct thing to happen. There was no changing the strategy. There was no changing the shot selection just because he had gotten a slow start and scoring was great. And out in front, Rory McIlroy's going crazy and folks are making birdies all over the show. Scottie's like, just keep doing the right thing. Patience allows you to do the right thing all the time. And remember that a good shot is not necessarily close to the hole. A good shot is the best you can do in whatever situation you find yourself in. Sometimes a good shot, and you'll see that on links golf, will be 40 feet from the flag. It's just not making a mistake on top of a mistake again. And that's where Scottie is a master at the patience thing. So as you look at Scottie, sort of the emotional / mental model, he exhibits those 2 qualities that I feel like are a common denominator for just about every great competitor across all sporting codes, but especially in golf. Because golf, we have these enforced timeouts through the entire round and tournament. He's poised, He's patient. He keeps things in perspective. 3 Ps: poise, perspective, patience. I will add though too, and it's a learned skill, because the word is that a young Scottie Scheffler at the University of Texas was a little hot-headed. He could get a little aggravated. And legendary golf coach John Fields pulled him aside and said, "Hey, buddy, this is not going to work for you for the long haul. You've got to find a way to just kind of cool down a little bit." And if you watch Scottie right now, the attitude that he shows is, it's almost Zen-like. And that's hard to do because golf is an emotional game. Don't get me wrong. As a supporter and a caller of golf, I know what it feels like. I've played at a high level. But Scottie just looks like he's okay with wherever the ball ends. You'll see some frustration, but he doesn't carry it with him. You'll see some celebration, but he doesn't overdo that either. What he's doing is he's staying completely in character for himself. Now, again, in relation to a Tiger Woods, Tiger, if he had a great shot, he'd pump the fist, he'd twirl the club, he'd let you know about it. Scottie will give you the little gentle fist pump, but nothing too animated. It's like he's trying to keep things as flat line as possible. And I feel like that is a lesson that golfers of all skill levels can sort of learn. Because if you honestly keep tabs on your mood during a round of golf, honestly, you will notice big peaks and low valleys as your emotions are going. And all that really is in the end is just big noise inside your head. And if there's big noise inside your head, it's detracting from you doing the job and getting your job done. So that flat line sort of approach by Scottie, neither too high nor too low. My wife, Tracy, always says to me, when it pertains to parenting, she goes, "Don't ride the highs and the lows too big." She goes, "Just let stuff happen and you kind of keep the even keel." So I'm going to borrow that insight from Tracy and share it with you guys, our global tribe, and say, don't let golf's highs and lows ride you too high and low. You remain even and you deal with a thing as you face it. Reminds me of that poem by Kipling. If you can meet triumph and adversity in the same attitude, the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, then you'll be a man, my son. Scottie is a man. He is the man right now because of his attitude. And it was something, a reminder, he learned. He wasn't born like this. He was a youngster who was hot around the collar. And right now, he's as cool as a cucumber and racking up a trophy cabinet that is Hall of Fame worthy. And if he keeps going, who knows what's possible. So those are sort of the things you can learn from Scottie that are not really measurable. I want to talk to you a little bit about technique now, because I'm naturally a golf teacher deep down. And I did a very interesting swing sequence breakdown on the PGA Tour's YouTube channel. It's called Swing Theory. And, much is made of Scottie and the footwork and Scottie and the golf swing. And, it's not aesthetic like Harris English or Adam Scott or someone like that, but it's super functional. Every single one of the guys on tour want to hit the ball like Scottie Scheffler. And there's a couple of things you can learn from him. First off, he's very one-dimensional in what he hits. He picks one shot, that fade shot, and he goes to it. He's very smart at picking targets. If you watch him when he's playing, very rarely will you see him short side himself. If you watch him off the tee, he'll go with a club where he sort of knows that, okay, this is going to put me in position to exploit what my strength is. And in my opinion, the iron game of Scottie Scheffler is a real strength. So, like in the final round on the second hole, reachable par 5, he's had issues with a tee shot. He's got a lead after the birdie on the opening hole. He had 3 wood off the tee. Put the ball in play, give himself a chance. Take the big number off the scorecard. So that's the technique stuff and the decision-making course management stuff. But I want to talk to you about all of this because you can talk about the feet and you can talk about the body movement. But remember, the golf club is the only thing that you have under your control that has any communication with the golf ball. It's going to basically show you what you delivered. That golf ball doesn't lie. It does exactly what your club told. Case closed. You cannot argue with that. If you want to argue, go and fiddle around on your launch monitor. Use the flight scope, use the code on the mark. You'll get 10% off. Okay, back to it. So Scottie's club face control is incredible. He knows where the club face is in space throughout the action, but especially through contact. And at times you'll see him sort of heave the right arm over the left, if he's a little late and the ball's hanging to the right, because he's saving the shot. Now, I had a conversation this morning with Carl Morris on his show, The Mind Factor. And Carl has actually earned a chapter in my book, very wise man. And he said to me, he goes, I don't know why people have got a problem with saving shots with their hands. And I was like, you're preaching, Reverend Morris. Because a lot of teachers, when you go for a lesson, they'll be like, oh, well, your timing is off and you're reliant on timing. And you've got to save it with your hands. To which my response would be, every multifaceted endeavor in the world relies on timing. If you don't believe me, go and watch a 64-piece orchestra. They have a conductor to keep them all in time. Now, your body has got a whole bunch of stuff going on in about a second, which is your golf swing. It's got to be well timed. I don't care how fundamentally sound your golf swing is. Timing is a thing, case closed. And your most direct influence on the golf ball are your hands and your wrists. And if you're out of position, you have to save shots. Golf is a game of recovery around the greens and stuff. We'll get to that. But if you're out of position, your hands are a weapon. Great golfers use their hands, the last chain in the link, to save the shot, to keep the ball in play. And if you're bristling right now, I want to ask you a question. Would you rather have the perfectly balanced, pretty swing that finishes looking like $1 million, but the ball's offline in a putt bunker? Or would you look like Scheffler, who's a little out of position, saves it with their hands, gets the ball down the fairway, and dusts you like it's his job? I would think if you are wanting to be a really good golfer, then you would choose the latter, not the former. If you choose the former, then you've got to be okay with the fact that your goal in golf is just to make nice looking swings. And you might do that and might not get the results you're looking for. So here's my thing. Saving shots is a skill. Everyone talks about skill acquisition. Skill acquisition is the ability to close the club face through contact or open it. You watch Scottie, he finishes there with the big high fading follow through with the back of the left hand. The lead hand is looking backward. You can see the glove logo because it's keeping that face open through contact. Ball's not going left. Promise you. He knows it's not going left. So he can aim down the left side of the fairway and fade one back. And that's the saving of the shot. That's the use of the hands. That's the use of these things, the GPS of your golf swing. And I want to make a case for a neutral grip. Now, Scottie interlocks, I'm not talking about overlap or interlock if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm talking about a grip where the palms are basically facing each other and they're very much matching the leading edge of the club face. Scottie Scheffler is militant about checking his grip every day, even before tournament rounds. In fact, he has a medium iron that has a molded grip on it. One of those grips that basically show you where your hands need to fit. And he hits balls like that for 5 to 10 minutes. Then when he has the feeling, then he goes to his regular golf clubs and does the same thing. And if you watch the routine, you'll see him, he'll pick up the club, he'll check the glove hand position, then he lifts the club in front of him, slips the bottom hand onto the club, checks his hands, and where the V's of his thumb and forefinger are pointing, then he looks up the shaft at the leading edge of the club and sees the relationship between leading edge hands. Because if you have that neutral relationship, if you're a right-hander and your hands rotate to the right, the face is open. If your hands rotate to the left, the face is closed. Simple as that. Now, if you don't have the neutral grip, because there's a movement in golf nowadays to get a whole lot stronger, which is the lead hand turn more over, the trail hand more underneath. I did a swing sequence, on the PGA Tour for them, probably on their YouTube channel. it was on their social stuff, about Aldrich Potgieter, who has probably, arguably, the strongest left hand and right hand combination in the game. Now, if you're holding your palm, right palm looking to the sky, and the leading edge is basically sitting at a right angle to you, you've got to show up right arm to the sky every single time for the face to look square. If there's any rotation in the face, right arm in a counterclockwise manner, that face closes. So do you see there? That's why if you've got a grip that's, excessively one way or the other, strong or weak, a certain amount of club face awareness is required, or more than what's required for the person who's just neutral like Scottie. I feel like that's why Scottie can get away with swings that are off a whole lot more. Because it's easy to get a sense for where your hands are. You've lived at the end of them for however old you are. And since you were a few months old, you learn to pick up stuff and put things in your mouth and do whatever. So you're acutely aware of how your hands move. They lead facility. So if you put them on the club in a neutral sense, then that club just becomes an extension of who you are. And remember, the leading edge in relation to the path of the golf swing defines side spin. And if the face is any open to the path of the swing, the ball's going to fade. That's why Scottie, to me, is able to save shots so well. It's because he has this neutral grip. Now, I don't want to cause some exodus of people to your club professionals and go, well, I've got to change my grip. All I'm saying you need to do is understand how your grip relates to the leading edge of the club face. Like if you hold it strong, how do you have to present your hands and forearms and wrists and body by extension to get that face looking how you want? And then when pressure gets up, what sort of an effect does that have on you and how your hands manifest? I'm saying it's easier to manage the neutral stuff. It's not impossible to manage the stuff that's not as neutral or strong or weak. It just takes extra doing. That's all it is. And there is a relationship. It basically goes, the stronger the grip, the more the body has to rotate, or the more you've got to pull on the handle to keep that grip from shutting down prematurely. And the weaker the grip, the more the arms have to almost accelerate past the body to turn the forearms over to shut the face down so the ball doesn't go off to the right-hand side. I wrote a book called Golf is a Game of Recovery. It's an ebook. Or the first one was Scandalously Simple, the easy way to straight golf shots. And in there, I listed this little poem I learned many years ago. And this little ditty basically goes, right-hander, if your shots bend to the right, as you hold the club, turn your hands to the right. If your shots bend to the left, as you grip the club, turn your hands to the left. That's either strengthening or weakening the grip, because that's kind of like cliff notes for straighter shots without having to finagle your body everywhere. Just get your hands and club face relationship to a place where the face will either play more closed or more open. If you do that, you'll eliminate one side of the target and aiming becomes easier. But if you're going to work on it, I would really advocate that you learn sort of something that's neutral-ish compared to where you are. It might take a little doing, but in the end, when you're off, and you're going to be off, even Scottie Scheffler is, and you've got to save shots, if your hands are neutral, you've got an easier awareness of where the leading edge of your golf club is because you know where the palms of your hands are. Simple as that. Any other paddle sport, bat and ball sport? I play tennis. I love tennis. You change your handle on the grip and you get different types of spin. It's the same thing with golf. Scottie has picked neutral. That's why Scottie can save the way he does. Now, to saving, it's not just saving of the golf shots, which again, I don't think is taboo. It's the saving when you've missed targets, because Scottie will go down as one of the greatest iron players in the game, as far as I'm concerned. But even he misses targets. I saw something from the folks at Clipped, the stats company. And in the 4 rounds at the Open Championship at Portrush, Scottie got the ball up and down when he missed the target 75% of the time or better. There was one day, I can't remember what round it was. It was in the 80%. So think about this for a minute. Why his bogey avoidance numbers so good, why he can bounce back so well, why he makes birdies like he does, and why he just, when he's leading, he's not going away because he never makes big mistakes, because he's able to save if he misses the target. He doesn't hit the ball wild. And when he misses a green, he got the ball up and down 3 out of 4 times. Now, I'm going to say to you, I don't care if you're a bogey golfer or a 90 shooter or a scratch golfer or an aspirant professional, wherever you are. If you get the ball up and down that amount of time, you're going to make good scores. Case closed. My hero, Bob Jones, said that the key to golf was turning 3 strokes into 2. Scottie Scheffler has proved that. Won the Open Championship at a canter, because when he missed, he made the save 3 out of 4 times. He putted great, but he chipped great too, and pitched great. So I would recommend that when you go and work on your game, go and spend some time on shot number 3. I say this all the time, and I get a bunch of heat from people going, well, I've got to hit the ball better. Yes, you do. But it doesn't take a lot of talent to be able to chip and pitch the ball well. And it's easy to work on. And if you can improve your proximity numbers from 15 feet to 10, and from 10 feet to 5 pitching, it's algorithmic, man. You're going to make more putts. Strokes gained putting, if you are 5 feet and in, you're going to make the line share. When you start getting outside 10 feet, you're not. So if you miss a target and you chip to 15 feet, there's a 25% chance you're likely going to make it. But if you improve that number to 5 feet, then all of a sudden, the algorithm says you can make that 75% of the time. You see there what you're doing for your score? And so I'm getting back to kind of where I started with Scottie. Kind of, it looks ungainly at times. To me, it's super cool. But what looks beautiful is the name on top of the leaderboard and those low numbers at the back end of the scorecard. And those rounds where you're going along and you're playing nicely and then you have a hiccup and you don't make a big number because you hit the smart shot and because you make a good save and because you keep a good attitude. All these things I've talked about. It's, if you think about it at its core, it is sort of nauseatingly simple and almost to a point where you're like, well, golf's too hard. It can't be that simple. It really is. Now, look, I'm not saying it's easy to hit the ball straight and long. That's not easy at all. But whatever your station of the game is, if you can hit something one-dimensional, shape-wise, if you can advance the ball and avoid hazards, if you can make saves around the greens, you're going to lower your scores. That's the physicality of it. The mentality of it is not to freak out when you hit a few bad shots. Everybody does. Scottie doesn't freak out. He hits bad shots, but he doesn't freak out because he knows what he's got to do. Scottie remains poised. Even though things are going bad, he won't try and force the issue. He did one time in the final round at the Open, try to go for the second shot out of the fairway bunker. I think it was the 8th hole. Hit the lip, made double. In the post-round comments thereafter, he said, that was a mistake. I should have laid it up, wedged it on the green, made 4 option 5 instead of go for the hero shots and then make 5 option 6. He made the 6. But you know what? The good idea? The next hole, he bounced right back with a birdie because he's that poised and he made the mistake and he didn't cry over, he didn't belabor, he didn't lament the spilled milk. He got right back in the saddle, did the right thing on number 9, made birdie. There are so many things that you can learn from golf if you sort of steal with your eyes. And if you take a realistic look at things, because it's easy, and I'll admit this, it's easy to get really wrapped up in how great that is. Wow, I can't do that. And I'm not saying you can play like Scottie, but you can do all the things that Scottie does. And Scottie does those things, and they turn into success. So that means by extension, if you do the things I've just taught you today, you're going to lower your score, and that's a success. It might not come down in chunks, but it'll come down little bit by little bit. And as you do that, then you'll begin to gain more confidence. And when you gain more confidence, you're going to shoot a whole lot lower. So I want to leave you with this. One more thing about the confidence. I just want to say to you, don't give up. Golf can get you down. And at this Open Championship, there were two really good case studies. Wyndham Clark, who's, look, had a tough time of it lately since the US Open. A lot of it self-inflicted. And he had a bad first day. I believe he shot 77 or something like that. But bounced back from there to a place where he finished inside the top 5. Bryson DeChambeau, same thing. First round, had a horrid first day. Might have been 79. Correct me if I'm wrong. But since then, shot straight 60s. He did not give up. And he finished very well, admirably well. He was asked about it, and he said, my dad, my late father, told me that I must never give up. So here's two champions of our sport, both major champions, that are not giving up when times get tough. So I'm going to say to you, you're going to have tough times in golf. Don't give up. Don't panic. Don't make rash decisions. Just do the right thing. Because if you start to do the right thing, you will start to stack the odds in your favor again. And I've said this before on podcasts, that golf is kind of like gambling. There's a probability to the success and or failure of every shot you stand up. Simple as that. A putt from 1 foot would be 100% probability. No, maybe 99.8. Because you might get the odd bad bounce and the ball doesn't go in. Shot from 300 yards finding the fairway, it's a lower probability. But practice and a good mindset and doing the right thing lifts that probability. So if you've got a 4 in 10 chance of finding the fairway, if you get in there with a crappy attitude and you're reminding yourself that you can't hit your driver and you suck and life's bad, well, that probability is now going down to 3, 2, maybe 1. Almost accidental if you hit the fairway. But if you get on there and you're like, well, probability of hitting this fairway is 4 out of 10, I'm going to get in there with a good swing thought, a nice clean picture, a good convicted golf swing, a clear idea of what I'm trying to do. You've changed that 4 out of 10 to 5 out of 10. So you see, you're stacking odds in your favor. And if you're playing with your money, I expect you're going to do that. So I'm going to leave you with this. Continue to do that. That is the key to the game. That's the key to longevity. And that's one of the things that Scottie Scheffler does. It's like an algorithm. And he's figured it out. And he's doing it every single time. Just like I want you to. Thanks for downloading this one. I really appreciate you guys. I'm so thankful for our global tribe. I'm thankful for the ways you guys reach out to me and wave and say hello and fist bumps at events that I'm at. You're like, I'm a member of the tribe. That's really cool. It reinforces to me that, we're making a difference with this show. Do interact with us. The best ways are DMs on Instagram and on Twitter. X, the handle there is @Mark_Immelman. You can go to the YouTube channel, search for Mark Immelman, subscribe over there. I'm very good at the comments for some reason over there. So reach out to me there. I'd love to hear from you. And then, of course, share this with your friends. Because golf is such a great game. And I think more people should play it. And more people should play the game well so they can enjoy it. So share this with your friends. I feel like there's so many things to learn, and I can't wait to bring you more great content here from this On the Mark show that's designed to help you. Hey, if you're going to play golf, have lots of fun. Make lots of birdies. Take it easy.